The first word wins, primacy effect. At a small get-together, someone walks in with a plate of snacks and says, "Okay, you've got to hear this story before I lose my nerve." Everyone around the table stops what they're doing, not because of the story's content, but because of its timing. It came first. It came with energy. It framed what followed. That's the primacy effect. The first thing said isn't just remembered more. It shapes how everything else is heard. When you start a conversation, the first sentence does more than introduce. It directs attention. It sets the temperature. It says, "This is the tone we're going with." You'll see this when someone breaks the ice with a strange fact or a disarming question. Suddenly, the entire group shifts. What felt formal becomes playful. Or when meeting someone new, the first thing they say about a mutual friend sticks, even if 10 other things follow. It's not about control, it's about influence. The brain is wired to hold on to the first frame it's given. Everything after that gets compared to it. That's why people who begin with warmth are rarely thought of as cold, even if they speak bluntly later. Or why a first compliment can anchor a connection, even if the rest of the conversation stumbles a bit. If you want to shape the mood, shape the beginning. Start with something honest, intentional, or curious. Because once the frame is set, people tend to see the picture the way you painted it, no matter what's added after. Look at their shoes. Read their personality. This might sound strange, but a person's shoes can reveal a surprising amount about their personality and priorities. It's not about judging wealth or brand, but about style and condition. Are they meticulously clean and polished? It suggests attention to detail, perhaps a methodical nature. Are they worn, comfortable, and practical? Maybe a more laid-back or adventurous spirit. Brand new and trendy could indicate a focus on appearance or status. Scuffed but sturdy, perhaps a hard-working or grounded individual. We often put less thought into our shoes than other parts of our outfit, which makes them a more authentic reflection of our daily habits and underlying traits. Next time you meet someone, take a quick glance down. You might learn more than you expect before they even say a word. The last word lingers, recency bias. After dinner, the conversation winds down. Dishes are cleared, chairs scrape, someone stands to leave. Just before walking out, they turn back and say, "You know, I always feel better after these nights." No response needed, no follow-up. But that line stays with everyone longer than anything said before it. That's the power of the last word, not just the final thing spoken, but the one that carries out the emotional tone. It doesn't have to be clever, just intentional. The human mind gives extra weight to what it hears last. It's a simple cognitive tilt. Endings stick. Whether it's the final moment of a movie or the last message before sleep, we remember how things leave us more than how they meet us. You'll see this when someone signs off a call with a quiet thank you instead of small talk, or when a late-night text ends, not with a question, but with reassurance. Those final notes shape how we hold the whole interaction. It doesn't have to be deep, drive safe. "I'll think about what you said. This was good." Any of these, if said with care, anchor the memory. It works because endings feel like conclusions, even if nothing was resolved. And when the last word carries warmth, sincerity, or perspective, it reframes what came before. You don't need to control the conversation, you just need to land it gently. Because long after the talk is over, people often carry the exit more than the entry. Ask for a small favor to build bond. This is a classic technique, often called the Ben Franklin effect. It sounds counterintuitive. Asking someone for a favor usually feels like a burden, not a bonding opportunity. But it works because of a psychological quirk. When someone does a favor for you, their brain rationalizes their action by thinking, "I must like this person because I just helped them." It creates a subtle sense of connection and commitment. The key is to ask for something small, non-threatening, and easy to accomplish, like borrowing a pen, holding a door, or asking for a quick opinion. It's not about getting something done, it's about giving them an opportunity to invest in you, even in a tiny way. That small act of help can be the first step towards building a stronger relationship. Smile first, feel later. Walking through a familiar park, someone passes a neighbor they haven't seen in a while. Without thinking, they smile. A quick lift of the face, almost automatic. The neighbor smiles back, just as reflexively. A few steps later, the person realizes they actually feel lighter, happier, like something shifted. They didn't smile because they felt good. They felt good because they smiled. The body can shape the mind. It's subtle but powerful. When you smile, especially in tense or uncertain moments, you don't just express emotion, you create it. The muscles send signals upward. The brain, without overthinking, adjusts. You'll notice it during chance reunions, where someone's smile starts awkward and ends real. Or at crosswalks, where two strangers lock eyes for a second and exchange that small human acknowledgement. Or even when you catch your own reflection and half smile back, just to see what happens. It works because the brain listens to the body. Change the pattern and emotion follows. Not every time, not completely, but enough to tilt the moment forward. It doesn't mean faking your feelings. It means inviting them gently, leading with the body and letting the heart catch up if it wants to. So next time things feel flat or disconnected, start with the smallest shift. A soft smile, even just to yourself. You don't have to mean it yet, but sometimes the meaning comes after. Point your feet, reveal intent. Ever notice where someone's feet are pointing during a conversation? It's a surprisingly clear signal of their true intentions. Our feet subconsciously point towards where we want to go or what we're genuinely interested in. If someone's talking to you but their feet are angled towards the door, they're likely ready to leave. If their feet are pointing towards you, even if their body is slightly turned, they're engaged and open to the conversation. This also applies to groups. A person's feet will often point to the person they find most interesting or want to engage with most. This subtle cue can give you a read on rapport, interest, or even discomfort. It's a quick, silent way to gauge if someone's really present or just being polite. Lower your voice, raise their respect. At a local event, a disagreement starts over something small. Who was supposed to bring what? Voices rise slightly, energy shifts. Then one person speaks. Not loudly, not with force, but lower, slower, calm. Suddenly, the room recalibrates, not because of what they said, but because of how they said it. Volume doesn't equal authority, presence does, and lowering your voice in moments of tension signals something stronger than dominance. It signals control. It's not about whispering, it's about resisting the pull to match the noise around you. When you drop your tone, others lean in. When you slow down, others follow suit. And in that shift, attention becomes focus. You'll notice this in small group conversations when someone changes the energy, not by taking the spotlight, but by softening their delivery. Or during emotionally charged talks between close friends when one person stops pushing and starts anchoring. It works because we're wired to notice contrast. A calm voice in a loud space doesn't fade. It cuts through. Not with aggression, but with gravity. And it often surprises people because we're used to thinking that louder wins. But in many moments, it's the voice that drops, not the one that rises, that holds the room. So next time you feel the urge to raise your voice, try lowering it instead. The difference won't be in the decibels. It'll be in how people respond when they realize they don't have to fight to hear you. Use silence to own space. In conversations and group settings, there's a natural tendency to fill silence. But mastering the power of pause can subtly shift dynamics and elevate your presence. Instead of rushing to respond or fill a quiet moment, embrace it. Let it breathe. A deliberate pause before you speak, or after someone else finishes, signals thoughtfulness and composure. It shows you're not reacting impulsively, but considering your words. This makes your eventual contribution carry more weight. In a negotiation, a strategic silence can make the other person uncomfortable enough to fill it with concessions. In a group, a calm silence from you can draw attention and invite others to lean in. It's about confidence, not emptiness. When you own the silence, you own the space. Nod while asking equal yes bias. Two friends are standing in front of a food truck, both indecisive. One turns to the other and says, "You want to split the sweet potato fries, Joe fries?" and nods as they ask. Without even thinking, the other one nods too. Yeah, sure. It's not pressure, it's rhythm. When you nod while asking a question, it plants a subtle bias toward agreement. The body says yes, and the brain often follows. It's called the yes bias, and it shows up in the tiniest places. When someone gestures agreement, we unconsciously mirror it. When a head tilts forward with curiosity, we tilt with it. The body speaks first, and the response comes after. You'll notice it in casual decisions, choosing a movie, picking a route, planning a hangout. One person suggests, nods slightly, and the other person finds themselves saying, "Okay," before weighing the alternatives. It's not mind control, it's alignment, a small cue that says, this is probably safe, probably reasonable, probably fine. And most of the time, it is. The effect works best when the question is already leaning toward yes. You're not convincing, you're clearing friction. It also works when helping someone through hesitation, like offering encouragement gently. Want to give it a try? Nod, and suddenly the answer feels less risky. So next time you ask something simple, let your body say it first. A soft nod, a calm presence, just enough to tip the answer toward yes without needing to push it there. Show your palm, equals gain. Trust instantly. Our primal brains are wired to interpret open palms as a sign of trustworthiness and non-aggression. It's a deeply ingrained signal of vulnerability and honesty. When you gesture with an open palm facing forward, or hold your hands with palms slightly visible during a conversation, you're subconsciously communicating that you have nothing to hide. You're unarmed, not holding anything back. This contrasts with clenched fists or hands hidden in pockets, which can suggest defensiveness or concealment. This simple non-verbal cue can instantly lower someone's guard and make them more receptive to what you're saying. It's a subtle, ancient trick that builds rapport before words are even exchanged. Ask for advice, gain influence. Two classmates are chatting after a group project. One turns to the other and says, "Hey, quick thing. How would you have handled the part where the plan almost fell apart?" No ego, no setup, just a sincere ask. And just like that, the dynamic shifts. Asking for advice doesn't make you look uncertain. It makes people feel valued. It invites trust, and surprisingly, it often leads to greater influence, not less. That's because when someone gives advice, they unconsciously commit to your success. They start rooting for the outcome they helped shape. It's no longer your effort alone, it's partly theirs. You'll see this between neighbors trying to fix something simple, like a leaky tap. Or during new friendships, where one person asks the other, "How do you usually handle stuff like this?" The act of asking says, "I trust your judgment," and that's rarely ignored. It's not flattery, it's connection, and it flips the script. Because most people expect influence to come from confidence, but influence often grows from humility. And the beautiful part? You don't even have to take the advice. Just asking invites someone into your thought process, and that's where alignment starts. So if you want to open someone up, skip the pitch. Ask them what they do. The answer might be helpful, but the moment of being asked, that's what truly lands. Compliment behind their back, reaches their ears. Want to give a compliment that truly lands and builds genuine goodwill? Don't just tell someone directly, tell someone else about them, knowing it will get back. When you praise someone to a mutual friend or colleague, that compliment often carries more weight because it feels more authentic and less like flattery. People are more likely to believe positive things said about them when they overhear it or hear it secondhand, as it suggests you genuinely mean it, even when they're not around to hear it directly. This technique not only makes the recipient feel good, but it also elevates your own reputation as someone who is generous and trustworthy. It's a powerful way to build positive social capital without seeming self-serving. Let them talk first. Then you win. There it is, the real beginning of the conversation. When you let someone speak first, they show you where they are. What they say gives you the map. And once you have the map, it's easier to meet them without guessing. Most people rush to talk first, thinking it gives them control, but the opposite is often true. When you speak second, you get to shape your response with precision, not projection. You'll notice this in slow-moving conversations with people you've just met, or in small reunions where someone needs a minute before opening up. Even in casual decision-making, like choosing where to eat. Whoever speaks second often steers the direction, because they're responding instead of reaching. It works because people reveal more than they think when they go first. You catch their tone, their pace, what matters to them. And when your reply is shaped by what they offered, not what you assumed, it lands softer and sticks longer. Letting them go first isn't passive, it's strategic stillness, a way of learning before speaking. And the quiet before you talk, that's where the real leverage lives. Echo their words, earn their trust. At a crowded outdoor market, someone is explaining where they got the handmade scarf they're wearing. The other person, half listening at first, suddenly tunes in when they hear, "I guess I'm drawn to things that feel like they've been through something." The listener repeats it back, not dramatically, just, "Things that feel like they've been through something." The speaker pauses, nods, and keeps going, now more open. It doesn't take deep insight to make someone feel understood. Sometimes, all it takes is using their own words, gently mirrored back. This is the power of low-key reflection. Not imitation, not interruption, just echoing a key phrase in someone's sentence. A subtle signal that you caught what mattered most. You'll notice this during long walks where someone opens up gradually and you simply follow their language. Or during casual catch-ups where someone says, "It's been a weird month," and you reply, "Weird how?" Repeating their word instead of replacing it. It's disarming because it's easy. No correction, no redirection, just space to expand, and it works even when things are tense. If someone says, "I just felt dismissed," and you respond with, "Dismissed?" Not skeptically, just sincerely, they're more likely to explain than defend. The brain relaxes when it hears its own words reflected. It feels less alone. So next time someone shares something real, let your response come from what they already gave you. A word, a phrase, echoed with care. That's often what trust sounds like, familiar but coming from someone else. Use we instead of you. The language we use can subtly shape relationships. Shifting from you to we can instantly foster a sense of collaboration and shared responsibility. When you say, "You need to finish this report," it can sound like a demand or an accusation. But if you say, "We need to finish this report," or "We should figure out how to tackle this," it frames the task as a joint effort. This subtle linguistic shift creates a sense of shared purpose and inclusion. It signals that you're on the same team, facing challenges together. This can reduce defensiveness, build camaraderie, and encourage cooperation, especially in team settings or difficult conversations. It's a simple trick to build unity through language. Mirror their breathing to calm them. This is a powerful, almost subconscious technique for building rapport and de-escalating tension. When someone is stressed, their breathing often becomes shallow and rapid. Subtly, and without making it obvious, begin to match their breathing rhythm. If they're breathing quickly, you can speed up slightly. Then very slowly and gently, begin to deepen and slow down your own breathing. Often, they will subconsciously follow your lead. This creates a physiological sense of alignment and calm. It bypasses logical arguments and taps directly into the body's natural tendency to synchronize with others. You're not telling them to calm down, you're leading them to a calmer state by subtly mirroring and then guiding their physiology. This is particularly effective in high-stress situations or deep conversations. Break the script, control the moment. In many social interactions, we fall into predictable patterns or scripts. Breaking these scripts can be a powerful way to grab attention, stand out, and subtly control the flow of a moment. Instead of answering, "How are you?" with "Fine, and you?" try something unexpected like, "I'm experiencing peak contentment, thanks," or "Just trying to figure out if cats secretly run the world." This unexpected response makes people pause, laugh, and actually listen. It's not about being bizarre, but about being authentic and slightly unpredictable. This technique works wonders in networking, presentations, or even just livening up routine conversations. It signals that you're engaging on your own terms, inviting others to step out of their autopilot mode and truly connect. Give the gift first. Reciprocity effect. Want to influence someone or build a connection? Lead with generosity. This taps into the powerful psychological principle of reciprocity. When you give something first, whether it's a small gift, a piece of helpful information, a genuine compliment, or a favor, people feel a natural, often subconscious obligation to return the gesture. It creates a sense of indebtedness, not in a negative way, but as a desire for balance in the relationship. This is why free samples work, or why charities send small tokens before asking for donations. The key is that the gift must be given genuinely, without immediate expectation of return. It builds goodwill and lays the groundwork for future cooperation and trust. Pretend you're the host. Ever walked into a room and felt a little lost, waiting for someone to guide you? Flip that feeling. Pretend you're the host. This isn't about throwing a party, it's about shifting your mindset. When you walk into any social setting, a meeting, a casual gathering, a new workspace, adopt the mental posture of the host. Instead of waiting to be greeted, look around for who else might need to be welcomed. Offer a smile, make eye contact, or even initiate a brief, friendly conversation. You're not being pushy, you're taking psychological ownership of the space. This subtle shift immediately boosts your confidence, makes you appear more approachable, and naturally draws people to you. It's a powerful way to eliminate social anxiety and make any room feel like your own. Self-deprecate, then take the stage. Want to disarm a room and immediately gain rapport before making an important point. Start with a touch of self-deprecation, then confidently take the stage. Before delivering a presentation, sharing an idea, or even joining a new group, a small, genuine joke about a minor personal flaw or a relatable mistake can break the ice. For instance, "I'm still trying to figure out which end of the microphone to speak into," or "My coffee hasn't fully kicked in yet, so bear with me." This momentary vulnerability makes you seem humble, approachable, and human. It lowers the audience's guard. Once that moment of shared laughter or understanding passes, your subsequent serious or confident message lands with far greater impact because you've already built a bridge of relatability. Sit diagonally, not head-on. In many social situations, especially those involving sensitive conversations or potential conflict, facing someone directly, head-on, can feel confrontational. Instead, try sitting or standing diagonally. This subtle shift in body positioning can drastically change the dynamic. A diagonal angle, with your shoulders slightly turned away from a direct line, is less aggressive and more inviting. It reduces the feeling of being cornered or interrogated. It encourages a side-by-side, collaborative feeling rather than an adversarial one. This technique is particularly effective in negotiations, counseling, or when discussing difficult topics with a friend or family member. It non-verbally communicates that you're open, less threatening, and more interested in mutual understanding than direct opposition. Ask about childhood equal instant connection. Want to forge a deeper connection quickly? Ask someone about their childhood. It sounds simple, but it taps into a powerful human need for nostalgia and understanding. When you ask about childhood memories, a favorite toy, a first pet, or a funny story from growing up, you're inviting them into a safe, often cherished part of their past. This topic is typically free from current-day pressures or judgments. It allows people to relax, share something personal and light-hearted, and often reveals genuine warmth and vulnerability. It's a gentle way to bypass small talk and access a more authentic version of themselves, creating an immediate, comforting bond that feels genuine. Ask questions that make them reflect. Most conversations skim the surface. To truly engage someone and make them feel heard, ask questions that invite genuine reflection, not just factual answers. Instead of "what do you do?" try "what's the most interesting challenge you've faced recently?" Instead of "did you have a good weekend?" ask "what was a moment from your weekend that truly made you smile?" These questions require a pause, a moment of introspection. They signal that you're interested in their inner world, their experiences, not just superficial details. When people reflect out loud, they feel understood, and the conversation instantly becomes more meaningful and memorable. It's a way to transform casual chat into genuine connection. Frame it as a choice. No one likes being told what to do, even when it's reasonable, even when it's helpful. But offer the same request as a choice, and suddenly it feels easier to agree. That's because the brain doesn't just care about the message, it cares about control. When you give someone an option, you protect their autonomy. And that quiet reassurance often gets you what you were asking for anyway. Instead of, let's leave now, try, do you want to head out now or stay a few more minutes? Not, you need to calm down, but, do you want to take a breath or talk through it? In both cases, nothing changed except the feeling of ownership. You'll notice this among close friends during travel plans, where the more flexible phrasing often wins out. Or during shared projects, where phrasing something as, do you want, makes collaboration feel more inclusive. It works because it respects the other person's agency. The mirror technique. Have you ever noticed how people, when they feel truly in sync, not studied but understood, just open up? This is exactly what the mirror technique taps into. It starts small, a shared pace, a similar posture, picking up on the rhythm of their speech. When someone leans in, you follow, just slightly. When they pause, you don't rush in. You let that silence breathe. When you reply, you reflect their own words back. It's not about imitation, it's about resonance. In that moment, the conversation stops feeling like a negotiation and starts feeling like a connection. Picture a hallway conversation. A team member is clearly holding back. Instead of interrogating, you simply match their calm tone, mirror their stance, and give them room. They say more. You stay with them. And slowly, what was guarded becomes open. Mirroring works because it bypasses resistance. It signals, I'm not here to fix you or judge you, I'm just here with you. You'll see it in counseling sessions, in high-stakes sales calls, in tough parenting moments where logic fails but empathy gets through. People soften when they feel like you're on the same wavelength, even if the topic is hard. When you match someone's emotional tempo, they don't feel cornered, they feel safe. And safety leads to honesty. The mirror technique doesn't demand cleverness, just attention. It's one of the quietest ways to build trust, and one of the fastest. Speak slower to sound smarter. At a weekend hangout, everyone's chatting over snacks. Stories overlap, voices bounce, and then someone jumps in. Not loudly, not forcefully, but slower than the rest. So this might sound random, but has anyone ever actually read the instructions on microwave popcorn? The room stops, just enough to listen, not because the topic is profound, but because of the way it was delivered. When you speak a little slower than expected, people don't hear it as hesitation. They hear it as thoughtfulness. The human brain is wired to associate pacing with certainty, not speed, not volume, but rhythm. A slightly slower pace says, I'm not rushing this, I've already considered it. You'll see this in conversations with someone who doesn't interrupt, who waits a beat before replying, whose sentences don't tumble over each other. They're not always the loudest voice, but often they're the one people remember. It shows up in quiet one-on-one talks too, like on a porch late at night when someone takes their time explaining how they really feel. Or during unexpected encounters when someone answers a simple question, like it actually deserves a real answer. It works because our attention follows what feels deliberate. When you slow down, your words stand out. The silence between them earns weight. You don't need to drag it out, just resist the urge to rush. A few extra seconds can make even simple thoughts feel grounded, clear, and worth hearing. Because in most conversations, the smartest voice isn't the one that fills the space. It's the one that knows how to shape it. The yes ladder agreement doesn't always begin with the big question. It often starts smaller, one quiet yes at a time. In a shared office kitchen, a team lead approaches a new hire. It's their first week, and they've been quiet during meetings. Instead of diving into feedback, the lead starts simple. Hey, did you find the printer okay yesterday? They nod. Yeah. A smile. And the onboarding videos, those didn't freeze up on you? Another nod. Nope, all smooth. One more. Mind if we catch up for 5 minutes later this afternoon? Another soft, yes. Easier this time. And when they sit down later to talk about workflow and expectations, there's no defensiveness, just a shared rhythm. The yes ladder works by building momentum through agreement. Small, non-threatening questions first. Things the other person can say yes to without effort or hesitation. Each yes relaxes the body a little more. It sets a pattern. By the time you ask for something bigger, it doesn't feel like a request. It feels like the next step in the same direction. It's something you'll see in old friendships when reconnecting after time apart, or in community organizing where you build trust not with speeches, but with simple mutual understanding. Even in casual relationships, agreement builds comfort before it builds influence. You're not pushing, you're aligning, you're easing the other person into the experience with their own momentum. Because the hardest part of saying yes isn't the word, it's the fear of being pulled too fast. But when you're already halfway up the ladder, taking one more step feels natural. Not because someone talked you into it, but because you walked there one yes at a time. Say because, use because for instant compliance. Not because the explanation is always good, but because there is one. We're wired to connect requests with reasons. Without a because, a question can feel like a demand. Add it, and it becomes a conversation. Even if the reason is barely more than air, you'll see it in everyday moments. Could I take this seat because my foot's cramping? Mind if I go ahead because my coffee is already paid for? Even, can I borrow your charger because mine's in the other room? The actual logic doesn't have to be airtight. The word alone acts like a key. It signals structure, intention, a path, and people follow paths more easily than gaps. This also shows up in smaller social dynamics. It's not manipulation, just friction reduction. Because gives the other person a reason to say yes without overthinking it. So next time you're asking something, even something small, don't just ask. Anchor it with because. Once you give the mind a reason, it stops holding the brakes. Bring something in your hand. First impressions are built faster than we think, often before a word is even spoken. In the corner of a co-working space, a young man walks into a small group already mid-conversation. He's new, unfamiliar to most of them. As he approaches, he's holding two mugs, one for himself, the other for whoever's nearby. I wasn't sure if anyone wanted tea, he says, offering it without ceremony. One of the group members chuckles, accepts it, and the circle subtly opens to make space. The man sits, quiet at first, but welcomed. No need for credentials or name-dropping. He walked in with something in his hands. Something simple, something shared. Carrying something, whether it's coffee, a notepad, a printout, or even a snack, does more than occupy your hands. It gives you presence without pressure. It softens your entry into a space by showing intention and usefulness. You're not just arriving, you're arriving with something. In parenting, giving a child something to carry can shift their energy in new settings. In therapy, holding a tactile object can ground anxious clients. In networking, offering gum or passing a pen is sometimes the most natural way to break the ice. In leadership, entering a meeting with materials in hand subtly signals preparedness without saying a word. What you carry doesn't have to be important. It just has to say, I'm here for a reason. Even small items can quiet social friction. They give your hands something to do and others something to engage with. And sometimes that's all it takes to turn an entrance into a welcome. The confidence loop. Sometimes people don't need encouragement. They just need a mirror that reflects what they wish they already believed. Outside a crowded cafe, someone hesitates before stepping through the door for an open mic night. They signed up weeks ago but nearly walked past the building. A stranger holding the door smiles and says, "Looks like you're right on time. I always like hearing the early performers." There's no pressure, just a small assumption of confidence, and by the time they reach the stage, that borrowed belief feels like their own. The confidence loop begins not with self-belief, but with how someone is seen. When you treat someone like they're already capable, they begin to act that way. And when others respond positively to that behavior, it reinforces the belief. The loop tightens, the posture shifts, and confidence begins to look like it was always there. You'll notice this among performers backstage, where nerves dissolve the moment someone says, "You've got the perfect energy for this crowd." Or in collaborative projects, where one quiet voice speaks up after someone else simply listens like it matters. Even with younger siblings or close friends, a little recognition often does more than advice. It's not about false praise, it's about lending belief, just enough for them to feel it themselves. Because most people don't need to be reminded of their limits, they already know those too well. What they need is someone to look at them like they've already made it to the other side. The power of pause. In a hallway after a community meeting, someone asks a pointed question. Everyone expects a quick answer, but the person it's directed at stays quiet. They look up, think, then say slowly, "That's a good question. Let me think out loud for a second." The room shifts. People lean in, not because of what's said, but because of what wasn't. The silence made space for something real. The pause isn't hesitation, it's composure. That extra beat, just a little longer than expected, can carry more weight than anything spoken. A well-placed pause interrupts noise. It softens urgency. In close conversations, it adds weight. In tense moments, it signals calm. Even during everyday exchanges, that bit of quiet can make a reply feel considered instead of automatic. You'll see it between two people repairing a strained friendship, where silence doesn't rush to fill the discomfort. Or when someone's asked about a memory they haven't shared in a while, and they stop. Not because they're unsure, but because they want to get it right. It works because silence is never truly blank. We fill it with expectation, hope, worry, meaning. And a pause used with care holds that space long enough to be felt. The pause isn't just the absence of words. It's the presence of thought. And when you let it land fully, people don't just hear what comes next. They're ready for it. Use their name. Rewire the brain. At a neighborhood cafe, someone places their order, half distracted. The barista repeats it back. "Got it, Jess. I'll have that out in a second." It's simple, no big moment. But Jess looks up, just slightly surprised. The sound of their name, spoken without prompting, lands quietly. Names have weight. Even when softly used, they cut through background noise. They tell us, "This moment is meant for you." You don't need to overuse it. In fact, when you drop someone's name into a natural pause, once, maybe twice, it can shift the entire tone. It's a signal of presence, a small cue that says, "I'm not talking to anyone, I'm talking to you." This works especially well in new friendships when people are still figuring out if they're being fully seen. Or in familiar but distant connections, like a neighbor you only half know, where using their name bridges that space. It also softens tension. When conversations get complicated or emotions spike, a name quietly re-enters the moment. It reminds both sides there's a person beneath the words. You'll even notice it in written form. A message that ends with your name feels more anchored, more direct, more human, like it wasn't copied and pasted. It was meant for you. That's the effect. A name, when used sincerely, doesn't just personalize. It grounds, it restores focus. And sometimes it reminds someone of who they are right when they need it most. Dress one level higher. At a weekend gathering, there's one person who walks in just a little more polished than everyone else. Not flashy, just clean lines, well-fitted clothes, quiet confidence. No one says anything, but glances linger a bit longer. Conversations shift toward them just slightly faster. That's the trick. Dress one level higher than the room. Not to outdo, but to signal care. It's not about brands, it's not about trends, it's about intention. When you show up just a bit more pulled together, people assume the rest of you might be too. This shows up at art openings, where the person in pressed denim and a crisp collar draws curiosity, or during casual dates where effort lands far louder than charm. Even at community events, someone with clean shoes and a tucked-in shirt tends to be asked, "Hey, are you helping run this?" We subconsciously assign competence and warmth to those who look like they tried, but didn't try too hard. It's the sweet spot between blending in and standing out. The visual signal is processed in seconds. Before you speak, people decide whether to lean in, whether to listen longer, whether to remember you. And once that impression lands, your words ride its momentum. You don't need a new wardrobe. You just need one step up from the expected. Because dressing well doesn't say, "Look at me." It says, "This mattered enough for me to prepare." And people tend to remember the ones who made things feel just a little more intentional. The 5-1 ratio rule. 2 friends are cleaning up after a trip. One's folding clothes, the other's wiping down counters. The air is light, but earlier there was a small argument, forgotten plans, raised voices. Now one of them tosses over a bottle of water and says, "You know, you're actually the best at organizing chaos." No apology, just an intentional, honest moment of goodwill. This is the 5-1 rule in motion. For every difficult moment, it takes several small positives to steady the ground again. Not grand gestures, just quiet reinforcements. Appreciation, respect, warmth, care, humor. Strong relationships of any kind aren't built on avoiding conflict. They're built on having enough good to hold steady when tension shows up. Think of it like balance. If someone interrupts you once but makes you laugh, you don't call them rude, you call them fun. If someone forgot your birthday but checked in every time you were sick, the scales often still tip toward trust. This shows up naturally in long friendships, where jokes, memories, and small kindnesses buffer against occasional friction. Or during late-night conversations, where a compliment can quietly undo something left unsaid earlier. It's not about tracking points. It's about remembering that the emotional tone of a relationship is cumulative. The heavier moments don't weigh as much when they're surrounded by care. So when things feel off, don't always rush to fix. Just start adding small truths that make someone feel seen again. Say their name at goodbye. We've talked about the power of using someone's name, and it's especially effective at the end of a conversation. It's a small detail that makes a big impact. When you're wrapping up a chat, instead of just a generic bye or see you, add their name, great talking Jess, or take care Mark. This simple act anchors the entire interaction in their mind. It signals that the conversation was personal and meaningful to you, right up to the very last second. It's a final touch of recognition that leaves a lasting positive impression, making them feel truly seen and valued. Make eye contact. Just 1 second longer. Eye contact is crucial for building trust and rapport, but there's a sweet spot. To create a deeper connection, try holding eye contact just 1 second longer than you normally would. This isn't a stare, it's a subtle extension of a genuine gaze. That extra second signals that you're truly present, fully engaged, and authentically interested in what the other person is saying. It can feel slightly uncomfortable at first, but it quickly establishes a powerful non-verbal connection, making the other person feel truly seen and heard. Fake a deadline to get faster results. Want to get things done more quickly or encourage others to act? Sometimes, creating a fake deadline can be surprisingly effective. This isn't about manipulation, but about understanding human psychology. We're wired to prioritize tasks that have a sense of urgency. If you need a decision, information, or an action, you can say, "Could you get this to me by EOD? I need it for a report I'm submitting tomorrow." Even if the report isn't strictly due until the day after. This subtle pressure often triggers a response faster than an open-ended request. It gives people a clear, immediate goal, helping them to focus and deliver. Use anchoring. Mention a big number first. When discussing numbers, prices, or even expectations, try using the anchoring effect by mentioning a large, often aspirational number first. This sets a high initial benchmark in the listener's mind. For example, if you're aiming for 50 sales, you might first mention a broader market opportunity of thousands or millions. When the actual number you're discussing, 50, is presented, it feels smaller and more achievable in comparison to the initial anchor. This psychological trick can subtly influence perception and make your subsequent figures seem more reasonable or impressive. Act like you already belong. Want to feel more confident and at ease in any new environment? Simply act like you already belong. Walk into a room like you own it, without being arrogant. Take up space, move with purpose, and make eye contact. Don't wait for an invitation. Subtly join a group, find a seat, or start a conversation. Your body language signals to your brain that you're comfortable, and that feeling projects outward. This small psychological trick can instantly reduce anxiety and make you appear more confident and approachable to others, paving the way for genuine connections. Sit on the edge of your seat equals engagement signal. Want to show someone you're truly invested and listening? Physically demonstrate your engagement by sitting on the edge of your seat. This non-verbal cue signals active interest and enthusiasm. It communicates that you're leaning into the conversation, ready to participate, and fully focused. Whether in a meeting, a one-on-one discussion, or a learning environment, this posture conveys energy and attentiveness, making you appear more receptive and engaged to the speaker. Raise eyebrows. When you see someone, this is a tiny, often unconscious gesture that can instantly create warmth and connection. When you spot someone you know, even from a distance, subtly raise your eyebrows for a quick moment. This isn't a surprised stare, but a fleeting eyebrow flash. It's a universal, non-verbal signal of recognition and acknowledgement. It says, "I see you and I'm happy to see you," without needing a single word. This simple gesture bypasses social friction, instantly making the other person feel seen and appreciated. It's an open, welcoming signal that can pave the way for a positive interaction, or simply make a brief passing moment feel more friendly. Pause before you answer. Does authority. In a fast-paced conversation, our instinct is often to respond immediately, but taking a deliberate pause before you answer can dramatically increase your perceived authority and thoughtfulness. This isn't about hesitation, it's about composure. That extra beat of silence signals that you're not reacting impulsively, but rather carefully considering your words. It implies that your response is well thought out and valuable, making others lean in and truly listen. This technique elevates your presence in any discussion, from a casual chat to a high-stakes meeting. You probably already know this. Want to share information or an idea without sounding condescending or preachy? Start with, "You probably already know this," or, "This might sound obvious, but..." This humble phrasing immediately puts the other person at ease. It signals that you're not trying to lecture them, but rather to share a thought as if it's a mutual understanding. It respects their intelligence and expertise, even if they don't actually know the information. This approach reduces resistance and makes people more receptive to what you're about to say, as they don't feel challenged or underestimated. Use scarcity. Only a few people know this. Want to make information more compelling or valuable? Frame it using the principle of scarcity. When something is rare or exclusive, we naturally perceive it as more desirable. Phrases like, "Only a few people know this," or "This is something most people overlook," instantly grab attention. They create a sense of intrigue and privilege, making the listener lean in. This isn't about hoarding secrets, but about highlighting the unique value of the insight you're about to share. It taps into our desire for special knowledge and can make your message feel more impactful and memorable. Ask for help, like a teammate. Need help with something? Frame your request as a collaborative effort, appealing to the spirit of teamwork. Instead of saying, "Can you help me with this?" which puts the burden solely on them, try, "Could we tackle this together?" Or, "I'm working on X and I'd really appreciate your expertise on Y." This language immediately makes the other person feel like a valuable contributor, not just a problem solver. It fosters a sense of shared responsibility and mutual support, making them far more willing to lend a hand. Let them say no to feel in control. Want to increase the chances of someone saying yes? Sometimes you need to let them say no first, or at least feel like they have the option to. People inherently value their autonomy and dislike feeling pushed or manipulated. If you give someone a clear option to decline up front, they feel more in control of the decision. For example, "It's completely fine if this isn't for you, but would you be open to hearing about X?" By explicitly granting them permission to say no, you reduce their resistance and make them more likely to consider your offer, because they feel their freedom of choice is respected. Speak to pain, not logic. When trying to persuade or influence, we often default to logical arguments and data. But to truly move someone, especially on an emotional topic, speak to their pain points, not just their logic. People are more motivated to move away from something that causes them discomfort, frustration, or fear than they are to move towards a logical benefit. Instead of just listing features of a solution, articulate the problem in a way that resonates with their lived experience. Are you tired of feeling groggy every morning? Or do you struggle with that nagging worry about missing out? When you acknowledge their underlying struggles, you create immediate empathy and a deeper connection, making them more receptive to your proposed solution. Turn the chair slightly toward them. When you're sitting in a group or even a one-on-one conversation, the angle of your chair can dramatically affect the feeling of the interaction. To encourage connection and engagement, turn your chair slightly toward the other person. Instead of sitting completely straight or directly facing them in a confrontational manner, angle your chair and body about 45 degrees towards them. This creates a more inviting, less confrontational posture. It subtly signals that you are focused on them and open to conversation, without making them feel interrogated. This small adjustment can make a big difference in creating a comfortable and receptive environment for dialogue. Count to 3 before responding to emotion. When someone expresses strong emotion, anger, frustration, sadness, your immediate instinct might be to react or fix it. Instead, count to 3 before you respond. This brief pause gives you crucial seconds to process their emotion without letting it overwhelm your own. It prevents impulsive reactions, allows you to choose your words more carefully, and signals that you're composed and listening empathetically rather than just reacting. This small delay can de-escalate tension and create space for a more thoughtful and productive conversation. Confess first, then ask. Disarming honesty. Want to get something, especially if it's a bit of an ask? Lead with a small confession or acknowledgement of potential awkwardness. This disarms the other person through genuine honesty. For instance, I know this is a bit last minute, or I feel a little silly asking, but by admitting your slight imperfection or the minor imposition up front, you lower their guard and show vulnerability. This makes your subsequent request feel more human and less demanding. It creates a feeling of camaraderie, making them more likely to help you out because you've been upfront and authentic. Let them correct you, then they trust you. This is a powerful technique for building rapport and making someone feel intelligent and respected. Intentionally and subtly, make a minor, non-critical factual error and then allow them to correct you. For example, when discussing a topic you both know, you might say, "Wasn't that event in 2005? When you know it was actually 2006. When they gently correct you, "Actually, I think it was 2006, respond with genuine appreciation. "Oh, you're absolutely right. Thanks for setting me straight." This small act of humility makes them feel valued and competent. It signals that you're open to learning and don't need to be the smartest person in the room, fostering a deeper sense of trust and connection. Lower the volume to command silence. It might seem counterintuitive, but to command attention in a noisy room, sometimes the most powerful move is to lower your voice, not raise it. When everyone is talking over each other or the energy is high, speaking more softly forces others to quiet down and lean in to hear you. This subtle act of defying the noise signals confidence and control. It immediately shifts the dynamic, turning a chaotic moment into one of focused listening. You're not fighting for attention, you're inviting it. Leave before it peaks. Peak end rule. This tip taps into the peak end rule of psychology. Our memory of an experience isn't an average of every moment. It's heavily influenced by the most intense part, the peak, and the very end. To make a positive, lasting impression at a party, a meeting, or even a date, aim to leave before the event's energy starts to wane. If the conversation is lively and everyone's having a great time, make your exit when things are still at their best. This leaves people with a strong, positive end to the experience, which biases their overall memory of it. You'll be remembered as the person who was there for the good times, and your departure will leave them wanting more. Ask, what would you do? Want to empower someone, gain their insights, and subtly gain influence? Ask them directly, what would you do? This question is incredibly powerful because it immediately shifts the dynamic. It signals that you value their opinion, trust their judgment, and see them as a capable individual. It's not just asking for advice, it's an invitation to collaborate and own the problem. When people offer their solution, they become invested in the outcome. This can lead to brilliant insights you hadn't considered, and it builds immense goodwill and loyalty, making them feel like a true partner. Say, most people don't know this. Similar to using scarcity, prefacing information with phrases like, most people don't know this, or this is a common misconception, instantly elevates the value of what you're about to say. This phrasing primes the listener to expect unique or insider knowledge. It positions you as someone who possesses valuable insights beyond the common understanding. It creates a subtle sense of exclusivity and makes the listener feel like they're about to receive privileged information. This approach is highly effective in presentations, teaching, or simply when sharing interesting facts, ensuring your words capture and hold attention. Use open gestures to invite openness. Our body language speaks volumes. To encourage others to be more open and receptive, use open gestures with your hands and arms. Avoid crossing your arms, clutching objects tightly, or keeping your hands closed. Instead, use expansive, open hand movements when you speak. Palms slightly open, arms uncrossed. This physical openness signals that you are receptive, approachable, and have nothing to hide. It subconsciously invites the other person to relax their own guard and be more open in return, fostering a more collaborative and trusting atmosphere. Keep hands visible at all times. This is a fundamental principle of non-verbal communication that signals trustworthiness and openness. From a primal perspective, visible hands mean you're not hiding a weapon or anything deceptive. Whether you're sitting or standing, make an effort to keep your hands visible, resting lightly on a table, gesturing openly, or keeping them out of your pockets. This simple act communicates honesty and non-aggression. It subconsciously puts others at ease, making them more comfortable and receptive to you. It's a subtle but powerful way to build rapport and trust from the very first interaction. Plant ideas as questions. Want to influence someone's thinking without telling them what to do? Plant ideas as questions. Instead of making a direct statement like, "We should launch this new product," try phrasing it as a question. What if we launched this new product by X date? Or, how might we leverage this opportunity? This approach doesn't trigger resistance. Instead, it invites collaboration and makes the other person feel like they're discovering the idea themselves. When they own the idea, they're far more likely to support and implement it. What's your story? Not what do you do, bypass superficial small talk and create instant rapport by asking, "What's your story?" instead of the standard, "What do you do?" What do you do often leads to a job title and a dead end. What's your story is an open-ended invitation. It encourages people to share their passions, their journey, their unique experiences, and what truly defines them. It signals genuine curiosity about them as a person, not just their profession. This question creates immediate depth and warmth, leading to far more engaging and memorable conversations. When nervous, help someone else. Feeling anxious or nervous in a social situation, shift your focus outwards. When you're nervous, try to help someone else. This simple act can instantly calm your own nerves. By directing your attention to someone else's needs, whether it's offering a glass of water, helping them find something, or simply asking if they're okay, you take the spotlight off your own anxieties. It recenters you, provides a sense of purpose, and allows you to interact naturally. Helping others is a powerful way to break free from self-consciousness and connect genuinely. Ask for opinions, not answers. To encourage deeper engagement and foster collaboration, ask for opinions rather than just definitive answers. An answer can feel rigid and final, potentially shutting down discussion. An opinion invites thought, discussion, and nuance. Instead of, "What's the solution?" ask, "What's your opinion on potential solutions?" Or, "How do you see this playing out?" This framing makes people feel their perspective is valued, encouraging them to share more openly and contribute to problem-solving. Show micro-vulnerability, then strength. To build trust and connection, especially in leadership or challenging situations, start with a micro-vulnerability, then pivot to strength. Acknowledge a small, relatable imperfection or uncertainty up front. "I'm still learning the ropes on this project, but," or "this might be a bit ambitious, but." This brief moment of vulnerability makes you human and approachable. It lowers others' guards, then transition immediately to your strength. "I'm confident we can figure it out together," or "I believe we have the team to make it happen." This combination builds trust by showing authenticity while maintaining competence. Don't interrupt, they'll think you're brilliant. It sounds simple, but in conversations, resisting the urge to interrupt, even when you have a brilliant thought, is a powerful strategy for being perceived as intelligent and respectful. When you allow others to finish their thoughts completely, it shows immense self-control and deep respect for their contribution. It signals that you value what they have to say over your own immediate need to speak. People unconsciously register this as active listening and thoughtful engagement. By waiting for your turn, your eventual response will feel more considered, impactful, and intelligent, making them think you're brilliant for simply giving them the space to be heard. Ask them to teach you something. To make someone feel valued and instantly build rapport, ask them to teach you something they are knowledgeable about. This taps into their expertise and passion. It's a genuine form of flattery that shows you respect their skills and want to learn from them. The topic doesn't have to be complex. It could be how to use a specific app, a skill related to their hobby, or insight into their industry. When people teach, they feel empowered and recognized, fostering a strong sense of connection and appreciation for your genuine curiosity. Use future pacing. Imagine if. Want to inspire someone or guide them towards a new idea? Use future pacing by inviting them to imagine a positive future scenario. Phrases like, imagine if, or picture this, encourage the listener to visualize a desired outcome or solution. You're not just presenting facts, you're creating an experience for them. This taps into their emotions and aspirations, making the idea more tangible and desirable. It's a powerful persuasive technique that helps people overcome current obstacles by focusing on the potential benefits of a future state. Be the first to apologize in conflict. In a disagreement, being the first to apologize, even if you feel you're only partially at fault, can be a surprisingly effective way to de-escalate tension and resolve conflict. An apology doesn't mean you're admitting full blame. It means you're acknowledging the impact of the situation on the other person and valuing the relationship over being right. Saying, "I'm sorry that happened," or "I'm sorry for my part in this," can immediately disarm the other person and open the door for constructive dialogue. It shows maturity, humility, and a willingness to repair the bond, often leading to mutual apologies and faster resolution. Use even if to overcome doubt. When someone expresses doubt or resistance, acknowledge their concern directly, and then use even if to pivot to a positive outcome. For example, if someone says, "I'm worried it's too expensive," you can reply, "Even if it feels like an investment up front, imagine the long-term savings." This technique validates their concern, showing you're listening, but immediately redirects their focus to the potential benefits. It frames their doubt not as a roadblock, but as a temporary hurdle on the way to a desirable result, making them more open to your perspective. Act like you forgot they're famous or important. When meeting someone highly influential, famous, or particularly accomplished, the natural tendency is to be starstruck or overly deferential. Instead, subtly act like you've forgotten they're famous or important. Treat them with the same casual respect and genuine curiosity you would anyone else. Focus on a shared interest, a normal conversation topic, or a genuine question about something unrelated to their fame. This immediately makes them feel like a normal person, which is often a refreshing change for them. This approach is disarming, makes you stand out from the crowd of admirers, and can lead to a more authentic and memorable connection. Thank them for the thought, not the action. When someone offers help or a gesture that doesn't quite materialize or isn't needed, instead of dismissing it, thank them for the thought, not just the action. For instance, if someone offers to grab you coffee but you already have one, say, "Thanks so much for thinking of me, that's really kind." This acknowledges their positive intention and effort. Even if the practical outcome isn't relevant, it validates their goodwill and strengthens the relationship, ensuring they feel appreciated for their caring attitude, not just their completed deeds. Say, "That's exactly what I would have said." Want to make someone feel truly understood and aligned with you? When they express a thought or an idea and you genuinely agree, respond with, "That's exactly what I would have said." This phrase goes beyond simple agreement, "I agree." It communicates a deeper level of resonance, suggesting that you share a similar way of thinking or feeling. It creates a powerful sense of intellectual or emotional synchronicity, making the other person feel profoundly validated and connected to you. It builds immediate rapport and a feeling of being on the same wavelength. Say nothing. Just nod. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all, beyond a simple non-verbal cue. When someone is speaking, especially if they're sharing something personal or emotional, try saying nothing, just nod. A slow, deliberate nod or a series of small nods communicates profound, active listening and empathy without interrupting. It signals that you are fully present, absorbing their words and encouraging them to continue. This creates a safe, unpressured space for them to express themselves fully, making them feel truly heard and understood. It's a quiet gesture that speaks volumes of support and attention. Ask what made you say that. When someone expresses a strong opinion, a surprising statement, or even a casual remark that piques your interest, resist the urge to agree or disagree. Instead, ask, what made you say that? This open-ended question is incredibly powerful. It invites them to elaborate on their thought process, their reasoning, or the experience behind their words. It shows genuine curiosity and a desire to understand, rather than to judge or debate. This approach fosters deeper conversation, reveals underlying motivations, and makes the other person feel truly heard and respected. Smile with your eyes, not just mouth. A genuine smile is incredibly powerful, but it's not just about your mouth. To convey warmth, sincerity, and true connection, learn to smile with your eyes. A Duchenne smile, a genuine smile, involves the muscles around the eyes, creating crinkles or crow's feet. A fake smile often only involves the mouth. When you smile with your eyes, you communicate authentic joy, empathy, and positive intent. This makes your smile far more magnetic and trustworthy, drawing people in and making them feel truly welcomed and seen. Share a secret first to build deep trust and encourage vulnerability. Be willing to share a small, personal secret first. This isn't about revealing anything reckless, but a minor, relatable piece of information about yourself, a small insecurity, a funny past mistake, or a less common opinion. When you show this micro-vulnerability, you demonstrate trust in them and create an immediate sense of intimacy. This act of sharing creates a psychological imperative for them to reciprocate, often leading them to share something more personal in return, forging a stronger, more authentic bond. Comment on the atmosphere, not them. When entering a new social situation or trying to connect with someone, instead of making a direct comment about them, comment on the atmosphere or the shared environment. For example, instead of "you look busy," try, "This place has a great buzz tonight," or "It feels quite lively in here, doesn't it?" This low-pressure observation creates common ground without putting the spotlight directly on them. It invites them to engage in a shared experience and can often lead to a more natural conversation about their thoughts or feelings without directly asking about them. When unsure, repeat the last thing they said. Stuck in a conversation, unsure how to respond, or want to encourage someone to elaborate, simply repeat the last few words they said as a question. If someone says, "I've been feeling really overwhelmed with work lately," you can simply reply, "Overwhelmed with work." This technique, called mirroring or verbal echoing, works wonders. It shows you were listening intently, invites them to elaborate, and buys you time to formulate a thoughtful response. It's a simple, effective way to keep the conversation flowing and make the other person feel heard and understood. Mirror their energy, then lead it to quickly build rapport. Subtly mirror the other person's energy level, then gently lead it towards the desired state. If they're speaking quickly and with high energy, match that for a moment. If they're calm and slow-paced, adjust to their rhythm. Once you've established this subtle energetic connection, you can gradually shift. If you want to calm them, slowly lower your own energy. If you want to energize them, gradually increase yours. This technique creates a subconscious bond before you attempt to influence their state, making them more likely to follow your lead. Ask to borrow a pen, instant bond trick. This is a classic, almost universally effective trick for quickly building rapport with a new acquaintance. Ask to borrow a pen. It's a small, non-threatening request that creates an immediate, tiny moment of reciprocal exchange. The act of them helping you, even with something so minor, triggers the Ben Franklin effect, making them subconsciously feel a greater connection to you. It's a quick, easy way to initiate interaction, break the ice, and establish a subtle, positive bond without any awkward small talk. Laugh slightly before your joke. Want to ensure your joke lands perfectly? Add a subtle, slight laugh just before you deliver the punchline. This isn't about giving away the joke. It's about signaling to your audience that humor is coming. That small, almost imperceptible chuckle creates anticipation and primes them to receive your humor positively. It subtly invites them to share in the amusement you're about to express, making your joke more likely to get a genuine laugh. It's a tiny, powerful cue that paves the way for shared joy. Break tension with a whisper. In a moment of high tension or rising voices, try this unexpected technique. Break the tension with a whisper. When arguments escalate or emotions run high, a sudden drop in your voice forces others to quiet down and lean in. It's a dramatic contrast to the prevailing noise, immediately capturing attention and forcing a recalibration of energy in the room. This subtle act of control signals composure and can quickly de-escalate a heated situation, inviting a more calm and focused dialogue. Let silence sit. Just 1 second too long. We've talked about the power of the pause, and here's a specific application. To truly command attention or encourage deeper thought, let the silence sit just 1 second too long. In a conversation, when someone finishes speaking, resist the urge to immediately fill the void. Let that quiet moment linger for an extra beat. This creates a subtle tension that draws people in, making them lean forward and pay closer attention to what you'll say next. In a group setting, it can also compel someone to elaborate further, revealing more than they might have if you had jumped in too quickly. It's a confident use of space that demands focus. Describe their expression, not their mood. When someone is displaying a strong emotion, especially a negative one, avoid labeling their mood directly. You seem angry. Instead, describe their expression. For example, I notice your brow is furrowed, or your voice sounds a little tight. This objective observation validates what you see without presuming to know their internal state. It's less confrontational and invites them to explain their feelings. Yes, I am angry because, rather than defending against your interpretation. This approach fosters open communication and empathy. Ask, how did that make you feel? To move a conversation from superficial to meaningful, especially after someone shares an experience, ask, how did that make you feel? This question shifts the focus from external events to internal emotions. It shows genuine empathy and a desire to understand their emotional landscape, not just the facts. When you invite someone to express their feelings, you create a safe space for vulnerability and deeper connection. It's a powerful way to build trust and demonstrate that you care about their inner experience. Touch the table to anchor attention. In a meeting or a one-on-one conversation where you want to make a point or shift focus, try a subtle physical anchor. Lightly touch the table or a shared surface as you speak. This unconscious gesture can draw attention to what you're saying. It creates a physical grounding point that subtly directs the listener's focus to your words. It's a nonverbal cue that signals, what I'm about to say is important, and I'm physically grounded in it. This can help you command attention and ensure your message lands more effectively. Use humor. First, logic later. Want to make a difficult point or introduce a challenging idea? Break the ice with humor first, then introduce your logic. Laughter is a powerful disarmer. A well-placed, light-hearted joke or a moment of shared amusement can immediately lower people's defenses and make them more receptive. Once the tension is broken and a sense of rapport is established, your logical arguments will land with much greater impact. This technique works because you've created a positive emotional state, making it easier for their minds to process information without immediate resistance. Ask, what are you thinking right now? To get to the heart of a matter, especially in a tense or uncertain situation, cut through the surface and ask, what are you thinking right now? This direct but open question bypasses polite deflections and invites genuine honesty. It creates a space for them to articulate unspoken thoughts, concerns, or ideas they might be hesitant to share otherwise. It shows you're brave enough to ask for raw honesty and genuinely want to understand their perspective, fostering trust and deeper communication. Use their words in your reply to make someone feel profoundly understood and heard. Subtly incorporate their own words or key phrases into your reply. This isn't about verbatim repetition, which can sound robotic. Instead, pick a significant word or a core idea they expressed and weave it into your response. For example, if they say, "I just felt overwhelmed by the project," you might respond, "It sounds like that overwhelm was really tough." This direct reflection signals that you truly processed what they said, making them feel genuinely validated and encouraging them to open up even more. Be interested, not interesting. In conversations, many people focus on trying to be interesting, telling impressive stories, sharing accomplishments, or showing off knowledge. But the real secret to connection is to be interested, not interesting. Shift your focus from how you're perceived to how you perceive others. Ask open-ended questions, listen intently, and show genuine curiosity about their thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When you make someone feel truly heard and understood, they'll find you fascinating, regardless of what you say about yourself. People love to talk about themselves, and when you facilitate that, you become incredibly likable and memorable. Speak in stories, not points. Facts and figures are quickly forgotten, but stories stick. If you want your message to resonate and be remembered, speak in stories, not just bullet points. Instead of just stating a fact, weave it into a narrative. For example, instead of saying, "Our new process improved efficiency by 20%, tell the story of a specific team member who struggled with the old process and how their day transformed with the new one. Stories create an emotional connection, making your information more relatable and impactful. They allow people to visualize, feel, and understand the message on a deeper level, ensuring it stays with them long after you've finished speaking. Never break eye contact while listening. While maintaining good eye contact when speaking is important, it's even more crucial, and often overlooked, to never break eye contact while listening. This single non-verbal cue communicates profound respect and full engagement. It tells the speaker that you are completely present, absorbing every word and genuinely interested in their thoughts. Breaking eye contact, even momentarily, can signal distraction or disinterest. By holding their gaze firmly, but comfortably not staring, you make the speaker feel incredibly valued and heard, fostering deeper trust and connection. End with a compliment. Always leave every interaction on a high note that makes the other person feel valued and positive about you. Make it a habit to end with a genuine compliment, always. This isn't about flattery, it's about authentic appreciation. As you're parting ways, offer a sincere comment about something you genuinely appreciate. "That was a really insightful point you made," or "I always enjoy our chats. You have a great way of looking at things." This final positive affirmation taps into the recency bias, leaving them with a warm feeling and a strong positive memory of your interaction. Say, "Tell me more," instead of arguing. In a disagreement, our instinct is often to rebut, defend, or counter-argue. Instead, cultivate the habit of saying, "Tell me more." This simple phrase is a powerful de-escalation tool. It signals that you are genuinely interested in understanding their perspective, rather than just waiting for your turn to speak. It creates space for them to fully express themselves, often revealing the underlying reasons for their position. By inviting elaboration, you foster empathy, reduce conflict, and open the door to finding common ground or a deeper resolution. Ask, "Can you help me understand?" When faced with a difference of opinion or a complex explanation, instead of challenging or arguing, ask, "Can you help me understand?" This humble phrasing immediately signals curiosity and a desire for clarity rather than confrontation. It invites the other person to elaborate and explain their perspective, making them feel heard and respected. This approach disarms potential defensiveness, opens the door for genuine dialogue, and allows you to gain deeper insight into their viewpoint without making them feel judged. Let them choose the timing. When you need something from someone or want to schedule an interaction, instead of dictating the time, let them choose the timing. Instead of, "Are you free at 3 p.m., try, "When would be a good time for you to connect on this?" or what time works best for your schedule. By giving them agency over the timing, you show respect for their autonomy and schedule. This reduces potential resistance and makes them feel more in control, making them more likely to agree to your request and follow through.